Rev up your engines!
Well, GM is saying goodbye to one of their classic models, the Chevy Malibu. Now, they've been making Malibus since 1964, and they decide, we're not going to make them anymore. They were still selling them, right? More than 2,000 workers are going to be laid off in a factory. They're shutting the factory down. And, of course, they're always saying stuff like, oh, don't worry, we're going to make electric cars in that factory in the future. Well, I don't know about planning the future with battery electric cars the way things are going. If there's a recession coming, even less people are going to buy electric cars. And if there is a recession coming, are they going to be building new electric power plants? No. Are they going to put out more electric charging stations for these electric cars? No. Are they going to fix the infrastructure so power, if there is more generated, can reach all these charging stations that use a tremendous amount of electricity? You can't run them on the old wires. You'd need all new wires and stuff, too. I was talking to a guy in Boston who works for the power company. He told me, he said, Scotty, our lines there are so old, falling apart. If you started charging thousands of cars, they would probably melt the wires and the transformers up in the air. So nobody's going to be spending this money. So I doubt if anybody's going to be buying these cars. And I doubt if this factory that they're shutting down, GM, that makes the Malibus, is ever going to be put back into operation building electric battery vehicles. Well, Honda quality isn't what it used to be. Honda's doing one of the largest recalls they've done in years of 720,000 cars. And why? Because they might start on fire while you're driving them. The culprit is the high-pressure fuel pump. They're GDI systems. Now, the old fuel pumps and carbureted cars put out 2 psi, 2 pounds per square inch. The ones with electric fuel injection with the pumps in the trunk, they might put out 45 psi, right? A Honda GDI fuel injection pump can put between 2,000 and 3,000 pounds per square inch pressure out, right? So you got all this pressure, and the problem is these pumps are getting microfractures, and then they crack and leak. With 3,000 psi, it doesn't take much of a crack to make the fuel go out. And of course, the worst thing is, the GDI systems, they put the pump on top of the engine. So not only are you getting a leak, but the leak is on top of the engine at 3,000 psi, squirting gas all over the place, right? Now, back in the day, it didn't really matter all that much. If you had a 2 psi carbureted one with a pump that's on the bottom of the engine or something, just a little drip, it's not that big of a deal. And the later model ones with the fuel pump in the gas tank, even if they were 45 psi, the pump is inside the gas tank. So if it leaks, it just leaks inside the gas tank with other gas. Doesn't hurt anything, right? But these GDI pumps are on top of the engine. They leak, poof, you're going to go up in flame. So if you've got a Honda, it behooves you to go get your phone, say, how can I check if I have a recall on my Honda? It'll send you to the U.S. NHTSA website. You type in the VIN number, it'll tell you if yours isn't cleared. They're going to have to replace a whole bunch of GDI fuel injection pumps. And the fact that they screwed up on that, hey, Honda isn't what it used to be. They used to have bulletproof things that could run. And now their fuel pumps are cracking and leaking on the engine. And now, people were mad at Toyota because years back, they had a problem with the fuel pumps, right? But those are the ones in the gas tank. They're not going to start a fire. They would just leak. If they stopped working, the car would stop running, you tow it and put a new pump in, right? This is a gigantic deal. Changing them is easier because it's on top of the engine. Boom, boom, up you go. It's an easy job to change them. But if it does start leaking, man alive, 3,000 psi gasoline spraying on your engine. Well, Ford's at it again with their lack of quality. Ford's recalling almost 140,000 vehicles because the engines may blow up. And why? Because of Ford's stupid design. This is a bunch of Ford Focuses and Ford EcoSports models. If you have one, just go to the NHTSA website, nhtsa.gov, type in your VIN number. If you get confused, just ask Google, how can I check if I have a recall? It'll send you right to the website. You type in your VIN, it tells you yours is recalled. Well, what it comes down to is, and I warned people about it, I said it's really stupid, but Ford did it anyways. The oil pumps on those cars, instead of being driven by gears or by a chain, it's driven by a rubber belt, yes. And not just a rubber belt, but a rubber belt that is immersed in oil. Well, guess what? These things are breaking, then the engines blow up. Now they call it, well, it's dangerous. Your engine could stop while you're on the highway. Sure, it's dangerous, but it's dangerous to the car too. The engine blows up. You got to have oil pressure. Oil is pumped by a pump to the top of the engine. Gravity brings it down. Then it starts all over again. If the pump stops working, your engine will explode extremely quickly if you're going 60 miles an hour because there's no lubrication on the top. The cams will lock up. Boom. Pistons will hit the valves. All kinds of bad stuff will happen, right? I said years ago when they started doing this crap, what is this total nonsense? And some cars, like some of the Volkswagens now, they even have the belt that drives the camshafts being a rubber belt, but it's also soaked in oil. Who are these moronic engineers that are coming up with these ideas just to save money because, oh, a rubber belt's cheaper to make. We don't have to make a chain, and then the cogs are cheaper because the cogs don't have to be able to hold a metal chain. They only have to have a rubber belt spinning them. And now they're breaking. Oh, gee, what a surprise, people. What a surprise. Do these engineers have any brains in them? Or are they just yes men and they're told, make these cars cheaper? Yes, sir, we'll make them cheaper. Let's use rubber and plastic parts instead of metal. Well, Ford did again. They're recalling almost 143,000 of their Expedition and Navigators and F-150s 2017 to 2018 because, well, they might not have made the brake master cylinders right and they're cracking, they're leaking fluid. Of course, then you lose your brakes if they leak too much. And of course, the brake master cylinder bolts to the booster, and if they leak inside the booster, that destroys the booster, you have to replace that, right? Now, it just shows the lack of quality of this company. They're making stuff so poorly that they can't even make brake master cylinders anymore. Now, the funny thing is, they used to make them out of cast iron, right? Cast iron is extremely strong, and those things wouldn't crack. They could last a really long time. Now, guess what? They're made out of aluminum, people, because aluminum's cheaper to manufacture and mold. But, of course, you know anything about aluminum, it's a relatively soft metal. So, what happens? The stupid things will crack and leak. Now, Ford's got to replace all the bad parts, but I mean, I wouldn't trust any of those people. You go and maybe they'll put a new master, maybe it was leaking, but they won't tell you. They'll just suck the liquid out of the booster and say, there you go. Changing a brake booster is a very expensive endeavor. They cost a lot of money. There's a lot of labor involved. We usually can be over $1,000. And now the master cylinders just bolt on and off. Any good mechanic can change one of those things in like 15 minutes, but not a booster. So I'd love to see how many boosters they actually replace on these things. Here's how bad it is for Volkswagen. Now, they've really screwed up with their ID.Buzz, which is their little micro van minibus, right? Well, they sold them, and they're all painted in Germany with one color only. And they're finding out that people really like the old two-tone ones. So now the Volkswagen company telling the dealers to wrap the vans in two-tone colors to increase sales. But I'm not a fan of wrapping cars. And here's why. After they sit in the sun a while, they look like crap. Last week, a guy brought me a Mustang that he had wrapped a few years ago. And one side of the car was all faded, looked like crap because he'd parked it in his driveway. That half got the sun. The other half was under a shade tree. And that part was still somewhat okay. It wouldn't look great, but it was better than the other side that looked like absolute crap, right? Wraps do not last like paint. My wife's 2002 Lexus ES300 is now 23 years old. The paint still looks like brand new because it was an oil-based paint. They put many layers. It's still beautiful, right? Wraps do not last. So if you're selling people new cars and they're saying, wrap them in two-tone, wrap them in two-tone, those wraps don't last. You'd be really peeved. You bought one of those, you find 5-6 years later, it looks like crap because the wrap's all fading away. It's not a great way to go, but Volkswagen is so hard up because they're hardly selling these things at all. The first quarter in the United States, that's 3 months, Volkswagen only sold 1,901 of those things here, right? 4 times that. That's not even 8,000 cars a year that they're selling. It's hard enough to sell weird-looking minivans that are electric that have a very limited range. So that if they go on the highway, they can barely go 200 miles range. What a stupid vehicle. You spend all that money, and then, well, look, it's two-tone. It's a plastic wrap that's going to fade away. Come on, Volkswagen. Paint them right in the first place. Don't you have any research, people? Hey, look, all these old ones are two-tone. People like, well, let's just paint them one color. It's cheaper. Well, Pennsylvania now has implemented a road user charge for both electric and hybrid vehicles. Not just pure electric, but hybrids that are gasoline and battery powered, right? Well, they're saying, well, we got to fix our roads. Those people aren't paying any of that money, right? They were planning on doing a tax where it depends on how much you buy and how many mileage you get with the electric charges. But that was so complex, I said, that's too hard to figure out. We're just going to have a flat fee. Now, in 2025, the flat fee for EVs is $200 and $50 for the hybrid cars. They already said in 2026 they're going to raise it to $250 from $200, and then 2027 it's market value. We all know how that goes. You just keep raising it and raising it and raising it. Like people got suckered into buying condos, and they'll say, "Well, the monthly maintenance fee is kind of high. It's $500 a month, but I can afford it." And then 10 years later, the monthly maintenance fee is $1,500 a month, and you can't afford it anymore, right? So, hey. Everybody thinks these things are going to save people money. No, it isn't. It's not going to save people all that much money. It'll be kind of interesting to see how much money, if they ever show it, that Pennsylvania actually gets from this, to see what a small amount of electric vehicles there actually are out there. Now, the hybrids, yeah, it's going to hit them. And notice the hybrid fee is a lot less. Because those things are selling millions of them, and people would probably revolt. The handful of people in Pennsylvania that have electric cars, okay, they don't have much of a voice, but there's probably a lot more that own hybrids, and they'd whine if it was that high. But, hey, they can raise it any time they want. Well, Suzuki is now working on a motorcycle that uses water and hydrogen instead of gasoline. The problem with hydrogen is hydrogen burns really hot. So I guess they're going to have a water injection system to spray in to cool it down so it doesn't get too hot. It gets too hot, it makes a lot of NOx pollution. And, of course, the engine's going to wear out fast if it runs too hot, and injecting some water into it would cool it down. Now, you can't buy one of these yet. They're experimenting with it, right? But all I have to say is, Suzuki, this is a really stupid idea. Where are you going to get hydrogen from? If you own one of these motorcycles, right? The water, easy. You can get water anywhere. But the hydrogen, no, you can't, right? You're riding around on your motorcycle, all of a sudden, oh, I'm out of hydrogen. What am I going to do now, right? Interesting technology, yes. But to think you're going to sell this to a whole bunch of people, you're off your rockers. Where are they going to get the fuel? Like building something that you can't get a fuel for that is transportation device or going around. Or in the case of this is a motorcycle. Most motorcycles are toys. What do you want to do? You want to have fun on your toy. You don't want to be stranded in the middle of nowhere because nobody's got any hydrogen to put in your hydrogen motorcycle, right? Anything that has to do with alternative fuels and motorcycles has been proven to be a massive failure, right? Take the electric motorcycle, pure electric motorcycle. They're massive failures. But on the other hand, electric bicycles are really popular. And you know why, people? Because motorcycles are made to go longer distances. They can't go longer distances. They weigh too much to go really fast, 80, 90, 100 miles an hour. They need huge batteries, huge motors, weighs more. Then it just takes more and more energy. They can't go far. Then you're stranded. Electric bicycles. How far do you go in an electric bicycle, right? Kind of fun, toy little thing. And when you're done, it still has pedals and you can pedal back if you have to. Try pushing a 600-pound battery-powered electric motorcycle very far and you'll understand why no one's buying the electric motorcycles, but they're selling millions of the electric bicycles. Plus, the electric bicycles are a heck of a lot cheaper and they're a lot more fun. Well, somebody's dumped a whole bunch of electric cars on the street in Nottingham, England, and the people are mad about it. If you remember, Fisker filed for bankruptcy in June of 2024. Well, their dealerships and stuff, they had cars. One guy in England, he just parked them on the street and left them there. 9 of these electric vehicles are parked on the side of the road in the Midlands, $60,000 cars. Couldn't sell them, couldn't give them away. They just left them on the road. Now, these cars were abandoned by a local dealer. It's called Premium Central Performance and Prestige Car. Not so prestige, he's just abandoning his cars on a public road. Many people have reported that, hey, these things are just sitting there. These electric cars have not been removed yet. They have a combined weight of 22 tons. It's a lot of weight. Nobody's just going to pick it up and throw it in a trash bin, right? So, well, they're just abandoned there in England in a road. Now, people are mad. But, of course, if you've ever been to England, they have so many bureaucratic rules, it'll probably take them 100 years to figure out what to do with them. Now, here's where companies are going the wrong way. A bicycle company, Trek, is telling all their retail stores to immediately increase the price of their bicycles, right? Because they're worried, well, they come from China. Almost all those electric bicycles come from China. It's just the way that it goes, right? Even if they say USA, they're just assembled, like put the wheels on or something. Everything comes from China, right? But the Trek and Electro retailers are being told, immediately raise the price of your bicycles, right? Now, here's how disgusting this is. This is stuff they already have there. There was no tariff on this stuff. It's already in their store. Showed one of these emails. Here's what it says. We do this to avoid a run on the bank on our inventory. There are positives for you. The value of your current inventory has just gone up, and you'll experience an increase in your sales for dollars per bike sold. Yeah, okay. You know what I say, people? Don't buy their stinking bikes. They didn't pay more for those bikes. They don't have a tariff on them. They're already here. But the company's saying, oh, raise the price now for this stuff. People are using it as an excuse to rip people off. It's just like when I was in Houston, hurricanes came in. Some of the gas stations, they'd be selling $6, $7 a gallon gas because they had it, nobody else did it, and they were absolute swines, right? This bike company's doing the same thing. Trek Bicycle. My advice is stay away from them. Don't buy their crap. They're ripping you off. They did not pay more for those bicycles, but they're using the tariff as an excuse to charge you more money. And like I say, we do have power as consumers. Don't buy their products if they do stuff like that. And guess what? They'll either get rid of it, lower the prices, or they'll go out of business because they won't sell them. They already marked these things up enough at bicycle shops. You want to buy a Chinese bike, go online. It's so much cheaper to buy them that way. So get even with a company like Trek that's trying to rip us off. Don't buy their stuff. They do it in emails. Now we all know about it. So I say thumbs down to Trek Bicycles. Don't buy any of their bicycles. They're raising the prices on them because of the tariff. And these are bicycles that are already here. They have nothing to do with the tariff. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.